Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sunday, January 8th, 2017, and we're back. Hope everyone had a good holiday break. Obviously, I streamed about 4 times in that period, but, you know, 4 times wasn't the 6 that I usually do, but still. Awkward silence, I guess. Okay. So, yeah, what we're working on is trying to make these AI moves slightly more smart. So we're going to continue with that. Oh, they also released a new version on Unreal Engine, which I didn't download yet, I realize. So we might have Epic Launcher try to complain to us, but we'll probably install it after. I think it did, at least. I think it was 4.14.2 came out. Yeah, I saw the announcement and I just never thought to install it. At least that's what I remember. I mean, I'll probably install the launcher update, but not the... Yep, it's been updated. Okay. I believe they fixed some issues. Well, I know they have to fix some issues, otherwise they haven't released a patch. But it's not a major version update. Anyway, so if we launch a game, and we do 1 versus AI, we have, you know, player 2 and Charlie. Did CS impress me? It kind of went by a little quietly, actually. I was kind of expecting a bit more, but... Now, what did impress me during it? That's weird. Thought I assigned player 2 to that, but I guess not. So make a move. It will now try to take... That'd be absolutely stupid of me, but if there's an option for eating, it'll be a 1-3 chance of taking it. If there's 2 options of eating, there will be a 66% chance that one of the 2 will be taken, and then if three chances, the guaranteed one's gonna be. If there's more than 3, then one of the whatever is gonna be chosen. But anyway, so if I move my queen here, it's going to try to eat it, most likely. Oh, I won the die roll. Okay, so let's try. Still just 1. Okay, let's try here. Oh, I'm winning. I'm winning the look, it seems. Okay, this is weird. There we are. Let's do clamp 0-0. So that way, if there is any eat move, it must take it. just for some debug purposes. Because before we get more and more complicated, we want to make sure that, you know, that what we have is valid, right? We did some inspection last time, and it seemed to confirm what we assumed. But, yeah. So yeah, back to the question, what didn't impress me? So now it should... There's only one possible eat, yeah, because the king can't eat. It's the only one king there. It should take it. There we are. Why is it selecting that one? Oh, interesting. For some reason, this is always coming up first. I'm guessing... yeah, because I'm looping through the piece list every to build this, and it's always going to be looping through the same direction. So okay, so I'm going to need to shuffle it somehow. Okay, so before I get too complicated, is there any shuffle methods that just kind of given for us, right? Whoops. Not much, Sean. What's up with you? Okay. So I guess we need to find T-array. Is it called shuffle? No, I was gonna say, if there's a method that's actually called shuffle, then that would be kind of easy. I'll finish a bingo assignment. How's my game coming along? Basically the same as last time. I haven't really worked on it since, well, I have not worked on it at all since the last stream because I only worked on it during streams. If I would work on it outside of streams, we'd be much further along than we are now, of course. So exactly the same as Monday when I stopped. No randomize. I mean, there's swap elements, but yeah. And then there's obviously ways I can do it as well. Like I could do a sort where the delegate we give it is like random, so it just kind of shuffles through, right? That would do some shuffling. I'm not sure how good it would be. We might want to do multiple passes of it. Um, Let's check this answer hub. Yeah, I was gonna say something like this. That's a good point, because it wouldn't necessarily work. Yeah, that would actually, now that I think of it, depending on how they do it, it might actually, I mean, eventually converge, but how long will that be? I don't know. Could end up being like a long-running thread or something. Oops. Don't want to accidentally use a YouTube video. It'd be nice if we actually had a method from Epic to do that. I mean, there's a bunch of ways we can do it, of course. Like, one of the easiest ways would be making a list of tuples that would have whatever, some value that you would just be randomly generated, and then the either the actual value or a index, one or the other of your choice, whether you want to store the int or the pointer. If it's like a full object, you probably want to store just the index, and then you'd have to blow through that sorted array. So you make the list of tuples and then sort that list, and then copy back somehow to the array. Either if it's an index by saying, swap these indexes until you're done, or if it's by there's my train of thought here. So if it's by or if it's by pointer generating, like overwriting the array once you're done, that could work too. Probably the pointer one would be easier, but again, it would be slower if you weren't storing pointers or simple values. You were storing like structures or something. because then each time you, well, because then your buffer array would be the size of all the other one, like of the other array, right? So I'm really explaining it bad. Sorry. So in our case, it would be pointers. It could be integers or whatever. A pointer versus an integer technically is going to be probably twice the size because pointer is probably going to be 64 bits, where we are in an integer, like an array index would probably just be 32, so you might get a bit smaller of an array. But then you'd have the issue of and it'd be much smaller if instead of pointers you're storing like a full structure, right? But then you have the issue of then performing this swaps and like saying like, okay, now you go there, you go there, you go there, and keeping track of that. That would be annoying, right? You'd have to yeah, because then when you do swaps, you didn't have to keep track of where the things went. So if you see a number that was previous to it, you'd have to don't go then to where it came from and then keep going, right? Which could get problems. It could be a big problem if you have like 3 or 4 levels deep, right? The other option, of course, would be you create a second array, you stick it through, but then you're just doing what you would have done anyway, right? Anyway, so that's a thought, but yeah. So Fisher Yates shuffle. Let's see what the actual math algorithm is. So okay, so let's see the original one. So right number between 1 and n. Pick a random number k for 1. Between 1 and number of unstruck numbers. Counting from the low end, strike out the case number to. Okay, so yeah, that's. So in which case, this is basically what I'm saying. Well, one of the methods I was saying, just relying heavily on your random number function, which would be similar to the tuple one, I would say as well, but you know. Okay, so we're shuffling array of n elements. J is a random integer such as 0 is less than j less than I, which is the index. It would be nice if I just had some in-place thing I can call, right? Oh, also, for some people, because some people seem to really be interested in this, I actually did get a new chair. The other one, the back was just not really good. After overtime, it started to lean such that the right side was pushing back, but the left side wasn't. So I ended up kind of, you know, not really much to see, but you can feel that your right shoulder just wasn't getting supported, which leads to you kind of, you know, the lumbar support was good, but leads to you having like a big gap between your shoulders and the back of the chair, which you're not getting your shoulder supported, so it, you know, it started hurting after a while. Yes, I did get this one at Staples. It was a very cheap chair. Well, fairly cheap chair, though. I mean, office chairs aren't cheap, but this one was only $150. It wasn't like they're $500 or whatever expensive ones. So it was one of the cheaper ones. Which is funny, too, because I actually liked how it felt compared to the other ones, because the other ones weren't supporting the shoulders either. Like, from their design, they weren't supporting your shoulders. And maybe part of it's because I was like doing like sit-ups and stuff like that earlier, but you know. Okay. Okay, so we need to think a bit more about this. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to have our turn manager be... Would I use a programmer chair like the one Ken slept in? I don't know what Ken slept in, but I'm actually pretty happy with the chair I have right now. Obviously, it's new, but so we'll see what happens when the cushions begin to crush. But yeah, so I'm happy with the one right now. So, and even then, I mean, a lot of the racing chairs and gamer chairs and stuff like that really aren't designed to be comfortable to sit in for long periods of time. They're designed to kind of be flashy or whatever, but Okay. So should we shuffle the competitors or should we shuffle the allowed moves? I think we should probably shuffle the allowed moves. That'd be probably sufficient. Okay, so we need to then... If it's truly random, then it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the state of the pieces are. It would just be random, right? And then if we need to, for some reason, have something that on the turn manager, actually we probably would, because this is opposite thread. We don't want to do any writing to the turn manager, because I think we are just borrowing it. Yeah, we're just borrowing it. So we don't want to go and start writing to something on the game thread from another thread. So we should just change our allowed moves. Okay. So again, how are we going to do that? Just see. We didn't see any in the... Yeah, I was gonna say we didn't see any in the any shuffle method in the API documentation, but just to make sure that it wasn't in a subclass or something like that, we'll just check here. So we need to do a stable sort, or a sort. And we'll probably sort by, yeah. trying to think if there's some way I can just reuse this. Oh, that's what I can do. Okay. So instead of using tuples, I kind of wanted to use tuples for some reason. I just, you know, saw them and was like, that'd be kind of cool. It's like one of those things where you get a new hammer and all of a sudden you want to use a hammer for anything and you start doing plumbing and you're like, that can work. But it probably won't work well, right? And allowed moves is F move, right? Yeah, here F move. Shuffle or move shuffle buffer. Shuffle buffer moves. While allowed moves.num is greater than 0, shuffle buffer moves.add allowed buffers allowed moves dots that's sort of the int 32 current or pop index or sorry remove index equals allow or fmath rand range, and is it inclusive? Less than or equal to max. Okay. So 0 and allowed moves.num -1. Dot remove at this will give a little extra randomness as well. So index count and allow shrinking, yes. I'm going to say false because we don't want it to change the array size. Oh, shuffle. What am I doing? Shuffle buffer moves dot reserve because we know how big it is. Allowed moves dot num. There we are. Okay, so random range between 0 and that -1, or move at index remove index 0 or 1 and false. Oh, it wouldn't do that. Okay, so we're gonna... I thought it would pop as it would go. Not pop because it's from the top, but if it would Thought it was, yeah. So now we're pulling all that to the shuffle buffer, so that's, you know, pulling from the array. It's just getting slowly smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's doing remove at swap. So it's doing a little bit more shuffling as well. That doesn't really matter though, because it's mostly just for performance, so you don't make the array have to keep track of what you pulled, right? Okay, so now we pull it off, and then we'll have allowed moves equals shuffle buffer moves. And there we are. This will do a component by component copy. Yeah, firstly it's all currently contained elements and copies from the other array. So shuffle buffer moves, reserve the amount that we have in the other array, while our array isn't empty. I could do is empty as well, but you know, let's just do it like that. Then we'll remove at swap. I'm not too confident in allow shrinking now, because I don't want to preserve the order, I want to shuffle the order. But it will still claim that it's smaller and smaller. Okay, good. There we are. Which makes sense, but yeah. So now we will try... I'm actually going to run without debugging. And we'll just see if it's going to choose a random piece this time. Keeping in mind, of course, that the piece that's moving, because it's not going to be in the typical chess designation, will have a slightly higher chance of being called multiple times, because like each piece has at most one move, except the one that moves out, in which case it'll have 3 moves or 4 moves, right? Depending on what it is. Okay then, Mir. That's kind of odd. You should ask first. Okay, so let's see here. And again, I want to make this a bit more vibrant, so I'm probably going to want to drop the exposure down a little bit for a level. So that's going to be the same piece again. It's always going to be the same piece. Oh, no. I was just lucky. Yeah, okay. Wait, what? Oh, okay. I thought that was a bishop for a second. I'm like, how did the bishop move backwards? It has to move diagonal, right? Nope. That wasn't the bishop. Okay, so it seems to be fairly random. I was just unlucky at the start there. Thought I killed my king there for a second. Now everyone has pretty random moves, so it's kind of a catch whoever would get it, right? Oh, now this guy's gonna kill me. Okay, I'll move it there. And then I'll eat you there. Pawn wasn't exactly unfavorable. So we have a little bit of randomization in what the AI is going to do, just so we won't get caught in this trap. As a matter of fact, that actually might have been part of the reason why we started getting a bunch of, not in 4.9 necessarily, because I don't think that was how it was designed, but in 4.11, that might have been why we had the pieces moving back and forth along the same two moves, because they were all equal, so it's kind of choosing the first one from it, and that was tinted by the order of the pieces on the board, because we never shuffled the actors or anything like that, so it was always choosing the same piece over and over and over again. Unless there's other elements for it, and there's some random factor for it as well, but you know. So yeah, this is working a lot better. I mean, it's acting kind of dumb in general, but you know what? I'm had enough of this. Die king, and now it can't play because it has no control. So it has to give up its turn, which really it should be just one, right? You win, right? But we didn't program that yet, so it's just being like, let's make a move. I have no moves. Okay, end my turn, right? Anyway, it's actually getting closer. I mean, it's dumb. It really is dumb AI, but at least it's not predictable. Like I say, I knew that it was the first move, the pawn, would have more moves. I was just surprised that it chose, what was it, 3 or 4 times in a row, but then it was fairly random after that, so. One thing I could have done, considering scratch pieces, is like, you don't want to write to an object from 2 threads at any given time. So you try to minimize how much you're going to write to turn manager, but scratch pieces already is kind of defined that it's whoever is playing at any given point in time, so I would probably be okay running to that. So I could have a method to randomize scratch pieces and just call that. But again, there might be a reason why I want to have it be deterministic, right? Why I want to have it be the same order over and over and over again. I can't think of any good reason for it. I can think of several bad reasons for it. I can't think of any good reason for wanting to do that, but I also don't know, so I don't really want to necessarily, you know, shoot myself in the foot for later if I think of one. The bad reasons I'm talking about would be like storing the index of the king and keeping it across multiple moves or stuff like that, and then just kind of updating it as time goes on, which would be terrible because you can't guarantee that another thread's just gonna write out from underneath you, right? In that case, you want to be deterministic because you would be assuming that a piece is at a given location, but you really shouldn't assume that piece is a given location if you're going to be leaving it for any given point in time, or any given length of time, right? Yep. Yeah, no, I think you said it was the X4 that you got. The Sidewinder X line of keyboards was actually apparently pretty good. Actually, one of the best keyboards I had when I was testing, so I did keyboard reviews. Not like music keyboards, but like, you know, computer keyboards reviews. And I kind of saw this being talked about on enthusiast boards, but I kind of use it as my basic method for testing them. Was because there's only so many benchmarks you can do to a keyboard, right? But what I was doing was taking cards or something, usually a banking card, and mashing a line of keys, and then seeing on the other side, like having it go in a notepad or something, and seeing what the keyboard said came out. And the good keyboards would have, first off, if you can hit 5 keys, because the banking card's 5 keys wide, if you hit 5 keys and you have 2, 3, or 4 inputs coming in, you know that some key presses were dropped, right? That could be because of key rollover, that could just be because the keyboard sucks, right? The switches didn't register it because one reason or another. That could be the keyboard controller could have dropped for one reason or another. There's a bunch of reasons why that could happen. Probably one of the more common ones would be key rollover, though, where if they're all in the same key matrix, hitting them all at the same time would activate any ghosting and would drop one or more key presses, maybe all the key presses. So there is those concerns that the benchmark would test for, but then also would test if they're all in the right order, and that would be a much bigger thought of, well, I know what order I pressed them. The card hit the Q and it rolled until at the T, right? So it should be Q, W, E, R, T because they're from left to right. And it gets, again, if you do it right to left, just to throw things off, just to make sure that keyboard vendors don't being like, we're going to assume that a lot of people are going to make these tests, so we're going to make sure that if it's Q, W, E, R, T is all pressed, and we'll make it say QWERT first because we'll assume they hit left to right, right? So I had that test, and some of the high-end keyboards got very, very high on it, like, you know, 99, 98, 100% accuracy. I would obviously throw away some results, like if I notice I slipped the key card, like the card on the keyboard, I'm not going to count that as the keyboard screwing up. I saw myself screw up, right? So obviously I throw away things like that, but for the most part I did. I would make sure that it would be 5 or 10. I can't remember which one I used to do. I think it was 5 of the same, and I would average them out. And then all those tests would be summed up together and give it a score out of total, right? I think for a while, I think the only 100% I got was from a Microsoft membrane keyboard, which is interesting because it wasn't mechanical, it was outperforming mechanical, so at least in that benchmark. That surprised me. But Microsoft, I guess, took a lot of time, especially back in the late 90s, early 2000s, this was an old keyboard, to make it right, and was doing it better than some mechanical keyboards going forward, which is pretty interesting, right? So yeah, Microsoft made really good keyboards back in the day, especially back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They also made good mice as well. One of the best mice I ever had didn't have thumb buttons and stuff like that, so it wasn't very useful for me. And honestly, I use most of those things for, you know, when I have thumb buttons, I really don't use it for gaming. I use it for like productivity. I actually made a script at one point. I may have mentioned this in the previous episode, where if you hold down one of the buttons, you know, up or down, you know, thumb button front and thumb button back is what I'm trying to say. It would scroll up and down documents with a slowly increasing acceleration. I eventually changed it so it wouldn't have a ramp up. I would just be, it was an auto hotkey, by the way. It would just be, the first one would be quick, or be slow, so if you want to do a single press, you can just, you know, click. And I found out that if I did it around 250 milliseconds for the delay, then I could reliably, easily hit the first one without seeming too slow. Because you don't want to have it, like, you have a 5-second delay and be like, okay, I'm going to start moving forward. Okay, here it goes, right? In one tick, and then 5 seconds later, oh, it starts to go, right? But a quarter of a second was enough that you can press it and release it before it started to spam inputs. And then from that point on, it would spam, I think, every 10 milliseconds or 25 milliseconds, one more scroll tick. So it would be like, move. Move, 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 move. And that first delay would be about a quarter of a second. So, yeah. So I actually did that. And it was all for productivity, right? It was because, especially before I started, you know, discovering like Sumatra and some other PDF readers and things like that. One was using kind of Adobe Acrobat Reader. This is a long time ago. It was slow and laggy, and it's like, oh, I don't want to, you know, scroll through this. But, you know, I'm in physics at that time. I was in college, and I'm like, I need to scroll a 50, 60 page document that contains either lecture notes or, you know, whatever else. This is ugly, right? So I made that script so I was able to scroll up and down documents. And then when I started working in piece perspective, I kept doing it. I eventually stopped doing it for a while. I haven't used it in years. Yeah, so I was, you know, I made it for productivity, but not for gaming. It was funny because I was buying these big gaming mice, and I was being like, yay, I can use it for productivity. I can be more effective now, which is a very awkward thing to do because I never actually used its functions for gaming. I think the only thing I actually did was, for a gaming macro, was intentionally. Somebody hit the macro button, don't realize, and then, you know, 45 minutes later, you're like, oh, what is this? So you turn it off, and all of a sudden, everything you type, like passwords and all that stuff, just gets blown through the screen. You're like, oh, how do I erase this? And you can't stop it. The old, it was a Razer Black Widow. I couldn't figure out how to stop it. Even unplugging and plugging it back in, it would still start from where it left off, and just replaying the last 45 minutes of stuff. So it's like, oh, I guess I'm gonna go for a shower or something, because my computer's just gonna be talking crap for the next 45 minutes. I'm ranting really much today. I don't know, really much. It's not even good grammar, and it's past 11, but I don't care. I always started late. Yeah, but the Microsoft One. Oh, sorry. The only macro key I actually ever did was when I used to play left-handed. So if you look at a keyboard, the arrow keys has a nice gap around it. And if you're a left-handed person, it puts your arms at nice shoulder length away, as opposed to WSAD, which is kind of like this. You're playing with, you know, kind of doing a thriller a little bit, where everything's on the one side, right? Although you can move your keyboard, of course, but only if you have room in your desk, which I didn't always have. But when I was playing left-handed with the arrow keys, that kind of also made a bunch of zones around it. So you had the arrow keys, and if you want to function, you can move around to do it. And a long time ago, back in America's Army 2, the Unreal Engine 2 2003, 2004 game, there was a lot of effort into accuracy and precision when you're doing the sniping or whatever. They actually would test you, and if you didn't get a really obscene amount of, I mean, you could keep testing over and over and over again, they wouldn't stop you. But unless you were like, if you proved the game, I can hit a series of targets, standing up and prone and all that sort of stuff in a row, with a limited number of ammo. Like I said, it was pretty brutal. then they wouldn't let you use a sniper rifle. So it's kind of, unless you picked up the kit from someone else. So like if the sniper died, you can pick it up and use it. It's not gonna be like, oh, you suck, you can't use this fallen weapon, right? But you know. So one of the tricks that you would use is on the number pad, or if you're doing right-hand gamers, one of these buttons, you can bind it to fire. So if you click that button, instead of clicking the left mouse button, which, if you think about it, you're clicking a button on the mouse which you're using to aim, that force is going to move the mouse a little bit, right? And that would be enough to make you miss if you're shooting a small target far away, right? Whereas if you have your keyboard hand hitting the fire key, then you're going to be slightly more accurate because you can press that button all day long and your other arm is not going to move any, right? The mouse in your other hand is not going to move any because you're not moving that at all. You're pressing the keyboard something or other, right? In my case, it would be number pad 0 at the time. So that was the only thing I actually ever did for a macro, is I bound number pad 0 to the fire key, not in America's Army 2 because I didn't play at the time. I didn't get a macro keyboard until much later than that. I think it was, wasn't Mountain Blade, it was, I did in Team Fortress 2, but I didn't need to. There was a game, I can't remember what it was anymore, but it was a very complicated sniping game, and they wouldn't let you rebind fire key to multiple buttons, and I didn't want to press numpad 0 for every time I fired. I only want to press it for a couple of them, right? Unreal Tournament 2004 let me, so it wasn't that. Can't remember what game it was anymore, but it was Halo? No, Halo was before that, I think. Anyway, one of the games wouldn't let me do it, so I used the keyboard to bind numpad 0 to fire, to left mouse button, which was basically the only thing I ever actually assigned a macro to. Less talking, more coding, good feedback. Okay. Okay, so, let's see here. So determine high level goal. Because I don't really know what else I want to do today, because a lot of things are going to be fairly complicated. And we're doing mostly a chessboard level, so it's the AI states. So do we assign the AI states? Oh no, sorry, that wasn't the one I was thinking of. So we get current competitor. So we get current competitor already. So let's do peak definition. So AI name. So you know what? Let's do this. So so adjust for profile for given AI. We'll have the AI as we add, like, go further down. It'll be less random in the so it'll give us more of a choice in it'll increase the max range of this here. So let's have this be switch And what would they call it? Be a current competitor. Current competitor dot AI name. I can't remember what. Oh, well, let me do. Okay. Equals Alice, else if current competitor dot AI name equals text Bob. Okay, so you want me to do that then? Sure. Charlie, else, oops, what am I doing? Guess people didn't realize I'm actually kind of tired today, but you know. Is it Darline? Else current competitor dot AI name. Oops. Alright. What have I been doing? Okay, so int32 AI number equals -1. AI number equals 0. AI number equals 1. AI number equals 2. AI number equals 3. AI number equals 4. So we're going to have it be initialized to one of these. So it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then we will have AI number. Currently just have worst move be limited by, or sorry, have a alphabetical list of AI correspond to one extra bit of random, one extra random move. One extra move randomness. It's a random choice. So Alice will always choose the top move. Bob will choose one of the 2 top moves. Charlie will choose one of the 3 top moves, and Darline will choose one of the 4 top moves. And if it doesn't recognize any of these, it will be one of the 5 top moves. And it's clamps it, so if we have fewer allowed moves than AI number, that's fine. It will just limit, right? So that will be something easy to do. And what we need to do after that is start working on recursion and following the move down multiple moves and using that to weigh whether the move is good or bad. Let's do plus equals actually. Because I believe the default value for current move is 0, right? Yeah, 0. This way, if we start assigning a number over here, it's not going to be overridden, it's going to be added to. Okay, so let's see how this works. Okay, so there we are. I'm doing 1% AI. Well, player 2 against. Oh, it's not Darline, it's Darlene. Oh, well. And actually, we should probably make a break point anyway. Come on, you. Jeez. And really what we could have done is just had the AI names be a numerator that's immutable. And this would make the things a lot easier, but you know. I'm running with debugging, yeah, okay. So play, hand the lobby. Let's do Charlie, sure, why not? Okay, so local's AI number is -1. Let's do, there we are. So current competitor. So it should be Charlie. So boom, boom, there we are. This AI number is now 2, so that condition worked. That's good. So now we can probably just break the thing, because each successive move will be the same, because nothing was written to it. Oops. So now there'll be a 1-in-3 chance that they will make a kill move. In this case, it would be 2 possible eats, so let's have this be here. So there's only 1 possible eat right now. Yeah, so it'll be 1-in-3 chance. Yeah. Oh, it took that chance. Okay, so yep. We have slightly more randomness with our thing. It's gonna eat me back. There we are. Yeah. Slightly more randomness with that. So let's commit this. Now we know it works. I was trying to write git commands into Cortana, which is not going to work out so well. Cortana. Cortana is not a git shell. And her name is not Kitana. Although it'd probably be kind of interesting branding for them. I'm not really thinking well today. Okay. And I'm gonna want to have it be a bit better than just like, as you go down the list, they get more and more random, right? But you know. To do more robust, or gonna write variance and variation at the same time, which doesn't work grammatically because you can't write two words. Well, I shouldn't say you can't write two words at the same time. There are a couple of words you can write at the same time. Like what would it be? Read and read. You can write those at the same time. I'm not yelling at you. More variation between AI and just randomness. So now what we need to do is we need to start doing some recursive stuff, which means we're gonna have to make these the scratch pieces and stuff like that. Recurs, right? Oh, okay. Hello and good evening, TV Poker. Welcome to the chat. By the way, so the way I have it kind of set up for people coming in the chat, if you are new and you are just sitting in chat watching, I'm not going to say you by name because I'm assuming you're just lurking. But if you speak in a chat, I'll take that as kind of license, since it's going to be in the chat replay anyway, to say your name on stream to welcome you personally, right? Just in case you're lurking, but if you're chatting, you're probably not lurking, so that works. Oh, Mir. Okay. May I ask a question? Sure, go ahead. I'm actually about to wrap up for a day because I usually do between 9 and 11. It's currently 11:30. But I started quite late. I started way past 10 because, frankly, Games Done Quick is on what was on today, and they were doing Mario Kart and Quake, and I was very interested in those. So this kind of waited a little bit. It's a holidays anyway, right? But yeah, go ahead and ask a question. Yep. So what we're going to be doing next time, I should probably actually even define it a little bit as well. Void, simulate, move, okay. The show is still connected in my chat room, but then again, it's been known to be not very useful at times. So when I say simulate move, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be modifying the... Oh, there we are. Okay, so two parts. Who do you think... Part one is, how do you think we would make the biggest impact in gaming industry this year? Do you have any more way to limit that question, or are you speaking completely in general? Because one thing about the gaming industry is you really can't tell. Like, if you said like a couple of years ago, actually like let's say 5 years ago, if I would say Notch, no one would actually know who Notch was at the time. But there was one point when he just completely took over the industry, right, with Minecraft. Really flipped it around. But if you're talking about something specifically, like you're talking about like for streaming, are you talking about for on the business side, AAA, indie? Like there's a lot of ways you can go around with it, right? But so for this year in general, again, it depends on how you define. It even depends on how you define biggest impact. But good question. From the point of a distributor, so which distribution company would make the biggest impact on the gaming industry this year? It's a good question. I think in terms of VR, neither Oculus nor HTC Vive, Valve, that block, or really any of them is really gonna make a big impact this year. I think they're still a couple years off, so I'm not gonna say any of those. So probably not any VR company. It's been kind of the same way for a lot of years coming, but I would say probably Steam in general from like a PC distribution platform. I can't really see Apple or Google or anyone else taking them on too much. That said, I mean, Nintendo is doing something it's probably not going to work out. I can't really see as many use cases as they can. I don't think it's going to be as popular as 3DS or anything like that, but I mean, there's a slight chance for them. I'd say probably Steam. Do I think that VR is a novelty and will eventually fall in the category of a PS Vita? I doubt it. But one thing I'm wondering about, though, is whether it will be a big gaming aspect. I think it might actually start taking off in the... Actually, no, I'm just going to have my full camera over here, so since we're talking about a topic and not the code. I'm thinking it's probably going to be a fun novelty in games, and it'll continue to be a fun novelty in games, especially if game developers get their act together and start really understanding how to use it. And at the same point too, like the first movies were like of trains going through tunnels and things like that, which then they started making silent film for comedy and stuff like that, and eventually started making more and more as the medium progressed. So there is that aspect to it. I think it's, if they get to act together, they might have some gaming elements for it. But I see architectural visualization, I see industry, I see a lot of other commercial aspects using it for enterprise applications and really adopting it and keeping that industry alive while it figures itself out. Because when you're trying to design a building and people are saying this is my concept, it'd be nice to have someone put on a headset and say, this is awesome, I really want to build it like this, can you move that wall over there? Okay, we moved the wall over there. Can I change the color of that wall? Okay, I'll change the color to that wall. Good, build it. And then the contractor will be like, okay, I have a good idea of what I'm doing, I'll build this building in the real world based on the specifications. So you think the price of the PC maximized VR gaming will be out of mainstream? It's getting close, especially with the 2-generation gap we had here. We're starting to get, particularly with the AMD 480 or whatever, you're starting to get the mainstream price. Because you really only need like 3 teraflops to have the base value for Oculus. 3 teraflops was difficult to get in 28 nanometer. It's not that hard to get in 14 nanometer. You can get it with like a 100 some odd millimeter wafer, but a die. I mean, but the wafer itself is big. Die, but then you'll also want to have better and better experiences too when you start going to higher resolution, HDR, and all these other things for VR, because they'll probably eventually come to VR. Then you'll start having higher and higher units beam, but then GPUs will catch up. I'll answer part 2 of the question in a second. So VR, like I said, I don't think it will be popular this year. I don't think it will be popular next year. But I do think that industry and architectural organization and all these other things as well will really like VR and will keep it around for industrial and practical applications. And the enthusiasts will still play around with it, and eventually we're going to find our way through it. And then it'll pick up at the end, right? That's one of the things that was interesting about 3D, actually. A lot of comparisons can be drawn between VR and 3D. And one of the things that... I actually wrote an article on this a long time ago, long before VR was a thing. Well, VR was a popular thing about immersion. About 3D monitors. And the thing I was saying is that 3D... What it gives the user is a better definition of objects. So when you see a stereoscopic, like cross-eye 3D image, there's one of a little anime doll with weird funky hair, and there's also other ones as well. If you look at each individual picture, like so there's 2 side by side, if you look at either one with both eyes, it looks clear or whatever. But when you do the cross-eye thing and you make them a 3D image, it all of a sudden looks more clear and more crisp because your brain is able to identify an object out of it much more clear, because not only does it have the resolution of each image, it also has the depth information of the parallax, which lets your brain separate objects out of the image. What that means is that things are going to look more clean and crisp because you're able to pull more of an object out of the same amount of data, right? The problem with 3D monitors was that they always sacrificed some other image quality to get that 3D effect. So for the stereoscopic 3D with the glasses, you would sacrifice frame rate and a bit of crosstalk. With light polarization, you would sacrifice, or with the glassless one, you would sacrifice resolution. With light polarizing, you would sacrifice some color quality and resolution. And there's a bunch of other trade-offs depending on what you were looking at. But if you're doing cross-eyes, then the combined image will look higher resolution and more real than either of the individual images. So that works good. The problem was, though, that when in practical purposes, as I said, the TVs, when they actually give the eyes the information, were reducing your resolution to increase your resolution, right? Not pixel resolution, but like how to resolve the object out of the image. They were always sacrificing something to give you more benefit, so you never actually really saw that benefit, except in cross-eye, or in VR headsets. But also, then since they didn't, they kind of, rob Peter to pay Paul, when they kind of had that shift, they also, I'm losing my train of thought. When they, robbed from one to get together to get that shift, they also started doing it for novelty. So like, horror movies, things would jump out at you. So when people never really got the idea that the point of 3D images, when we had better and better monitors, was to give a better, higher resolution image to the eye. So we never actually got that far in. VR, the industry, like I said, for commercial aspects of it, might keep us afloat until the enthusiasts figure that stuff out. And then it would take off at that point. So if the studios pump out and flood with more adult software and apps, would VR get more popular? Well, the question is, would it get more popular? Yes, because there's going to be people wanting it. If you pump a lot of good content in any industry, adult or non-adult or whatever, if you pump a lot more content out of it, it's going to get more popular. How much more popular? A critical amount more popular? Super critical? Subcritical? That depends. Will it get more popular? Of course. 1% more popular, 100% more popular, 1,000% more popular? We don't know, right? So I can't say any given industry will do that, but I have a feeling that the commercial aspects of VR and AR will get us, keep it afloat long enough to give it a shot, right? If adult content could do the same thing too, or any other things, like, you know, educational content could also do the same thing as well if you get these things in school, right? To, you know, teach science or whatever, and be like, instead of, you know, let's say you're doing a lab, and not for VR because that would block out your vision, but for AR, if you would have cues being like, okay, so I want to dissect this frog, and have the glasses say, by the way, that right there is the left ventricle, and that right there is right ventricle, and that right there is the, you know, lung, and whatever, and have that all be there, like, oh, you make a decision there, oh, be careful, we're here, right, and have all these instructions be on screen. That could be interesting. All those applications could increase its usage and keep it afloat a little bit, but will it succeed? I don't know, but I think it probably will at some point if you give it enough. If you give it enough for it, right? If these things keep it afloat long enough. The second question is how much longer do I think Betty White has left? Hopefully a long while later for her sake. Hopefully she lives a long, nice, happy, healthy life. And she seems to be happy and healthy right now, so keep on going, right? Any other questions? So as we're going back here, we did the simulate move method here. This will be probably a lot simpler than the actual introduction of the move, because that will be based on... Actually, that's a good question. Do we have submit move? Is that based on thanks and Godspeed? Okay. Thanks a lot. But yeah, before I do that, is turn manager... Is that... oh no, it's a game state, I think. Game state doesn't operate on scratch space, does it? Because if I mess with the scratch space... So multicast, there we are, multicast perform move. So it operates on the level pieces, and then we have the validation. Oh no, it's a game mode that does that, right? So the game mode, submit move, oh, validate move, okay. Turn manager, get possible moves. Okay, so what we're gonna want to do here is we're going to want to force it, so to do reset to auth state. Because get possible moves will use scratch space, which we want. Actually, it'll be through, let's say here. Would it be here? Oh no, it'll be in get possible moves. Oh, here. I am completely lost. So is tile active? Is tile in range? Did these use scratch tiles? Okay, so these use scratch tiles. So this uses scratch pieces. And get possible moves, gets all possible moves. And check tile movable. Doesn't care about that, okay. So get basic coordinate scratch pieces, get coordinate scratch tiles, and get possible moves. Let's do this again. Is so it's a scratch, scratch, scratch. So it all does that. So what we're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to make sure that currently uses. Actually, do so. Turn manager. Load tiles to scratch. Turn manager. Load pieces to scratch. Reset turn manager to off state. So that way, in case we had turn manager starting to predict moves down the line, we're not going to have validate move accidentally use an old version or a hypothetical version of the board. We want to use whatever the board is right now. So that would be good. Okay. So let's make sure it's builds. Okay, and then let's get status. Get add a. Or let's get commit am. Remove. Fix. Validate depending upon scratch tile pieces possibly messed up state. Okay, there we are. And that will be that. So I guess we'll end on whatever this is, Valkyrie 3. Yeah. So we'll end on Laura Brenham and Valkyrie 3. Thanks everyone for watching, and happy holidays. I'll see you tomorrow if everything goes to plan, which it should.
to